All right, Stephan, we're excited to hear you do your thing. I will give you an introduction for those who don't know. So Stephan here, he's an art dealer, he's an artist, an accidental NFT innovator, founder of Azucar Gallery, and Artists Stop Being Poor. The title of his talk is What are NFTs and why the art world should care about them? So I will let you take care of the rest. Do your thing. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, cool. So I'm Stephan VAN KUYK. As I said, I've been doing art stuff for 12 years now. And for the last 12 months, NFTs came rumbling into my practice, into my career, and it just changed everything I was doing. It just flipped my whole career upside down, and I literally had like more fun this year in my career than all the stuff before. And I want to share a little bit about what I've been doing, and I'm just going to do it as a storytelling, because then it helps provide a little bit of context of what I was doing as an artist, what I learned along the way, and how NFTs changed all that. So I was born in Switzerland 33 years ago. My parents are both Argentinian. They moved to Switzerland because of my dad's job. After 2 years there, I moved to New Zealand. In New Zealand, my sister was born. We lived there for like 5 years, and then we moved to Brazil. In Brazil, we lived for 15 years, and then when it was time to go to university, I went to Argentina. In my last years of Brazil, I was finishing high school and all that stuff, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, like careers and that stuff. It was like that time. The thing is, I was like horrible at school, like super, super, super bad. And I knew that I didn't want like a real job. I didn't want to be like an engineer or an accountant or something. So I thought like, yeah, I want to like live, make money and whatnot, but have something cool that I do. Initially, I thought that was going to be music because, I like to play some instruments. But the thing is, I wasn't very good at all of that. But one day I went with my best friend, who was the singer of the coolest band in town. It was a small town, but still. We went to a house party at his drummer's house, and he was showing me around, and he showed me that he painted as well on the side beyond being a musician. And I thought like, well, if he is a musician, that's cool. And he does this painting stuff, which is cool too. Maybe I could do this painting stuff, because ever since I'm a kid, I'm always drawing and painting and crayons and shit. And I thought like, yeah, that's it. Artist, that's what I'm going to do. So I kind of reconnected over my last year in Brazil, reconnected with what I used to do as a kid. So I was like 17, 18. So I would like practice a lot and train with materials and try to figure out my style and whatnot. And that was kind of like a one period year. It was my last year in Brazil before I moved to Argentina to start university and that stuff. I lived in a very small city in Brazil that didn't have art galleries, didn't have like, it had like some historical museums, but not like an art scene. But when I moved to Argentina, I moved to Buenos Aires, which is like the biggest city in South America. It's like super massive, and it has an amazing art scene. So by then I already had started to do something that I would call my real painting. So like a little bit more finished and polished artworks. And I figured, now I moved to Argentina, I'm going to start my professional art career. Because from day one, being an artist was about, I needed to be a professional artist because this is going to be my job, or else I'm going to have to be like a lawyer or an accountant or something like that, which I couldn't. I was so bad at school that I couldn't like go to law school and figure out how to be a lawyer. It had to be something crazy and cool and, artistic, because I couldn't make my living out of like having a real job. So from day one, it was like professional artist. So I grabbed these first paintings, which was like, I know as I evolved as an artist, but they were pretty cool artworks, or so I thought at the time. I was very proud of them. I took some pictures of them that might not have been the best pictures of them, but I did it. I printed it in a little portfolio, put it with my CV. That was nothing. I didn't have a CV, but like I wrote a little text about my art, and I was like, okay, Google, what are the best galleries in Buenos Aires? Let's go knock their door and show my art. And I went. So I went to all the galleries that I could find, you know, tried to do some research of their style and whatnot, but like knocking on doors, I thought like, I'm gonna show my art. Worst case scenario, I make a friend in the art world. And anybody that's been to a gallery know how hostile these places can be and how unfriendly gallery assistants can be. It's not like everybody, but it's like a stereotype that it happens. So I would just like, hi, I'm Stephan, I'm an artist. Here's my work. And they would just like look at me. I was like, what the fuck? Who are you? Why are you showing me your art? It's like, who are you? Who sent you? Did somebody send you? No? Okay, no, that's no. And that's when I noticed that, you know, being an artist was maybe not only about making the art, you know, it was, there was some connections that needed to be made somewhere and I didn't know where. It started to like rumble in my brain, you know, I kept on doing the work and like investigating, you know. This was kind of like the first couple of months after I moved to Argentina. So I started going to university at this point. I originally wanted to go to art university, but I did a compromise. I did a compromise with my mother. She says like, art school, that's like broke. You're gonna be broke. Why don't you go to graphic design school and maybe you won't be that broke? And I accepted, like, you know, originally I went to marketing school for a while, it wasn't the right fit. And then graphic design, I thought like, yeah, drawing little things, a logo here and there, that would be okay. So I went to graphic design school for a while. And, you know, and on the side, I was doing my art, trying to, you know, connect and find how to break into the art world. It wasn't happening, but I was like, keep on it. And one day at graphic design school, one of my colleagues tells me that she has a group of friends that go on regular weekend adventures and they just find abandoned shitty abandoned shitty walls around the city, like abandoned, you know, like fucked up walls, and team up and just go and paint murals there and whatnot, you know. So it's like, yeah, street art. I was like, yeah. And she said like, yo, you like doing art? Wouldn't you like to like come with these friends of a friend and like go and paint a mural? And I was like, yeah, I never tried that. That would be hella cool. And we connected on MSN Messenger, you know, so OGs out there can tell how long ago that was. And I went and I painted my first mural. And if in one side of the equation, I was trying to break into the gallery world and nobody was like even saying, like opening up the door a little bit to see. On one afternoon, I went, painted a mural and did 10 new artist friends in one day. And then I went next week and it was like a different group of people and it was like different friends and like making connections and building this network. And from then, actually, I had the opportunity that somebody said that a friend of a friend is organizing a group show and that they're looking for artists. And that's how, through community, I was able to get my first ever group show, which was like back then a pretty cool, big deal. I was super excited about that. And it just made me click, you know, because, you know, I did the first exhibition. I was like, okay, when's the second one? So it's like, oh yeah, now we need to wait for somebody to want to organize an exhibition and invite me. And I was like, nah, I'm not gonna wait anymore. So I hooked up with like, I selected a couple of friends from this group of street artists. And I went to a restaurant where I kind of like went eating. And it was like a bar that I used to go very often. So I ended up meeting the owners. They wanted a mural at some point. So I did some work for them. And I said like, hey guys, you know, like, I got a couple of cool artists. You guys have a restaurant. Why don't we like team up and do an exhibition together? You know, I'll bring artists and their friends. You guys sell more beer. We drink for free because we're the artists. And we made like a little cool deal there. And we organized an exhibition there. And it was like a huge success. You know, it was just like cool friends coming over, checking our artworks. I don't know if we didn't sell anything back then, but it was like just like amazing to be able to freely show my work of art without depending on somebody organizing an exhibition and inviting me. It was like, okay, maybe this is the thing. You know, maybe I don't need to wait for other people to organize exhibitions. I can do them myself. So from then on, for the next 2 years, I organized like art festivals and exhibitions and bars, restaurants, cafes, co-working spaces, and all that, all over Buenos Aires. And by 2012, this all started in 2010. By 2012, I felt that there was a need to take it to a next step forward, you know, in the sense that I was doing all these cool exhibitions, but I needed a format where I could something a little bit more tangible, you know. Originally, I thought about, you know, doing art magazine, you know. Up to this point, this was all like 0 budget projects, you know. So like people let me do something in the bar, I get some free drinks, you know, and that's it. So when it was the time to come to do the magazine, printing a magazine is like hella expensive. You know, if you want to do it, a pretty magazine is like super, super expensive. And I didn't have any budget. By then I was like working in a graphic design, in a marketing agency. So, you know, it's like I didn't have money to put down for printing a magazine. So I thought, you know, it's like, let's do it as a digital magazine. But then it's like, yeah, but it had to have a connecting point. So back in 2012, I came with the idea of doing a postcard, you know, with a different artist each 2 months. And the postcard would have a QR code that, you know, would bring you to a digital version of the magazine online. The thing is, it was back in 2012, not a lot of people had smartphones in Argentina. So that was definitely a impediment, but it was a really cool project. We launched 6 editions of the magazine as this and started creating a community that quickly, by the 2nd edition, we decided to open it up as an art gallery as well. So we rented a space, me and my partner back then, we rented a space in Buenos Aires and opened our own art gallery. And that was like hella cool. And from there, one of the things we started experimenting with was uploading our artworks to like a little shop that we created and trying to sell them online as well. It was kind of like more initially we thought about having it as like a price list, you know, so people would come to our gallery and, you know, and they could access the price list and, you know, but quickly, I even remember it, I was like having a sandwich at a friend's house and I got an email saying that an artwork got bought by somebody that I didn't even know, that had just like seen it online and had never been to the gallery. And, you know, that like, okay, maybe this internet thing for selling art is a thing. So at that time, we continued with the gallery for a while, did some more exhibitions with the gallery. We were able to insert ourselves into the more traditional sense of the art world. So the art fairs back then and all that stuff. And that was fun and whatnot. I ended up getting like bored of being in Argentina by then. And I decided to move to Berlin, where I live now. So what I did was just pack a big suitcase with a bunch of artworks and moved to Berlin. I didn't know anybody in Berlin. I had no idea. I had never been to Berlin before, but it was like, okay, let's try something new. And then I kind of replicated that that concept that I did earlier, where I would go to bars, restaurants, and do exhibitions and whatnot, while also keeping a very active online presence and selling artworks online, so I could start selling arts even without having a direct audience here, because I didn't know anybody, but I was able already to get there and start So I started doing exhibitions in Berlin, bars, restaurants, all again. I opened a gallery in Berlin for a while and started doing art fairs across Europe as well. But then it became quite clear that I was selling more art online in the internet than in my physical gallery in Berlin. So at that point, I decided that maybe not much sense to have a physical gallery, but focus on pop-ups and events rather than, big old gallery block. And, I just kept doing my hustle. And then by 2017, I got invited to talk at a tech conference, just things of life. And I never had done public speaking in my life before, and I had no idea what they wanted me to talk about. I was like, it was a friend that was organizing it, and I said, like, yeah, just maybe talk about art marketing and the stuff that you do. So I did an art talk called Artists Stop Being Poor, kind of as a joke. And I thought, like, yeah, maybe a couple of dozen people come, whatnot. It ended up being like a huge success. 250 people came to the talk. It was like crowded. The Q&A took like an hour and a half. And it just made me realize that maybe artists have this real need for educational content and somebody teach them the business side of it. Because I ended up going for art school for a while back in the day in Argentina, but they don't teach you anything about how to prepare a portfolio, how to approach a gallery, how to write an artist statement. They teach you how to paint pretty things, and art is much more, like a successful art career is much more than pretty paintings. It's the community that you build, it's the collector base that you build, it is, building an audience and monetizing that audience over the long run, finding galleries if you want to do that way. So I started creating this community online called Artists Stop Being Poor to deliver these types of content and make artists from all over the world connect and, share their stuff and, become friends online and stuff like that. Exchange tips and tricks and stuff like that. And I've been doing that. We also are opening like a limited edition print marketplace with these artists. So we're growing that. And that was going pretty well, like 2018, 2019. And I was like ready to start doing a bunch of, we were ready to start doing a bunch of exhibitions, collaborative exhibitions, like getting artists from all over the world together and renting a gallery in Barcelona and doing an exhibition, renting a gallery in Berlin, doing an exhibition. Was like, yes, let's kick ass. And then Corona, and I was like, what the fuck? It's like, I'm all about doing exhibitions in the real world. It's like, I've done a digital magazine, but it's like my jam, my mojo is doing exhibitions in the real world. And like, no pasa, prohibido, verboten. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck?
I think we've removed them. Sorry, Stephan, we'll get you off unmuted, and we'll make sure the edit removes all of this. Thank you for your patience. Has to unmute. There you go. We're just getting rid of the trolls. Sorry about that.
So I think I dropped off on Corona.
Thank you, Stephan.
Internet and kids, who's gonna blame them? So it was all planned up. So I wanted to do a bunch of exhibitions, and then came Corona. So over to 2020, I just kind of like pivoted into creating more educational content online that could help artists build up their online business and practice. I always had this I always tell them that I think artists should be more of little startups, and do, that whole 360 approach, and sell their own art to their audiences. So I created like a workflow that I could teach artists to do that. And then early this year, or maybe late last year, I kind of started hearing these rumors about this NFT thing, and I was like, okay, this sounds cool. So I got invited to be part of an exhibition in early this year. So like in January, it was a group exhibition, and we sold $500,000 worth of NFTs in 3 days. There was like another artist organizing it, and he was like getting the artists together, and I was like, okay, this is cool. So I started organizing my own NFT art show, the NFT Pineapple show that launched back in February last year. And then I started also creating some videos and some stuff about NFTs. And I started, to collaborate with some people and work on some projects. And then I got called by, I get a call that these people are opening a new NFT platform in Berlin and they want to meet me. And we have a very nice talk. And by the end, they decided, like, we need this guy on board, we need to hire him. And I end up being their marketing director for the whole company. And we're working on a super cool project of offering fractionalized artworks as co-NFTs. So we're focusing on street art. So street artists can do their artworks, photograph it, we fractionalize it into shares, and then the audience can collaboratively own these pieces of art and get together as a community to support their favorite artists. So over the last year, I've been like working with them a lot.
Hey guys, sorry.
I've been working with some other projects on NFTs, collaborating with artists, coaching artists, and just like being overall, giving talks, being overall very active in the ecosystem. And it's just been like the most fun year of my career, and it was a pretty fun career up to this point. So yeah, we got cut a little bit, so I'll make the end short. I didn't want to make this overly technical. I want to make it like a little bit about how NFTs inserted themselves in my career, but I wanted to point out some stuff that I find interesting, that the NFTs allow artists to really break that art world. I think that the internet was a first crack of outdated art world, in the sense that, in the past you needed a gallerist and an art dealer and a curator to all accept your work was good enough for it to be shown in the gallery and, sold to an art lover or art collector. And the internet allows artists to go ahead, create their own communities, put their own art for sale, and sell it directly to the audience. So the possibility of artists going around the curators and building their own community is amazing. And I think that in that sense is the internet as a whole has been, cracking the art world and rethinking the way that it's been working for the last 500 years or whatnot. And NFTs just came as an extra layer of disruption to all of this, because my three things about it, it's like completely transparent. Everybody can see how much is being sold for what, when, to whom, and in the art world, that doesn't happen. So much art is being used as collateral for like money laundering and tax evasion. It's like fucked up. When you really talk about like high-end paintings, people are buying, selling them, and storing them in free ports where nobody can see them, so just they can like avoid paying taxes in some tax haven or whatever. NFTs, you cannot do that. It's completely transparent. Everything is recorded. Then also the idea of secondary sales, where you as an NFT can profit over the profit of somebody that sold your NFT. How many times have we seen artists be bought cheap, being sold in auction for millions of dollars over the original price, and not getting any profit? They are getting completely cut off, and some rich dude is making more money over with selling his painting to another rich dude. And in NFTs, yes, that happens. There is speculation, there's movement, there's sales, but the artist will always retain ownership, obviously, but he will always retain a share of these profits as this collection grows, and as his career grows, those secondary sales will become more significant. And that the art world doesn't even think about this of profits being redirected and redistributed to the artists that originally did the artwork. And now that you think about NFTs, it's just crazy that wasn't working before. And finally, the community of NFTs is completely different to what I've been experienced over the last 12 years as an art director. While in the while in the art world, you got all these closed doors, and it's my connections, it's my contacts, you cannot have it, this is how I do it. And in the NFT world, everybody's like much more inviting, sharing their knowledge, welcoming you in, asking you about your art and whatnot, and all of that stuff. So yeah, you know, I think that NFTs could be like a real extra layer to the works of a lot of amazing artists right there, you know, and then you can go like really meta with this and think about wearables and skins for video games that artists could make and get a profit from, and it just goes on and on and on and on. So yeah, that's kind of it. I can take like, I guess, a couple of questions. If you guys want to follow me on Twitter, I just launched a Van Gogh NFT drop that I'm giving 2,000 NFTs away for free for artists and art lovers, and I'm going to redirect the profits from secondary sales to producing a bunch of content teaching artists how to be dope NFT artists on top of, you know, their career. So this is it. Any questions? Anything I can? Well, guys, yeah, if you want, I am Stephan with a PH_VK on Twitter. Stephan VAN KUYK. There's not a lot of them out there, so pretty easy to find me. Hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, thanks for joining from the Meta Walls gang. You know, Meta Walls is this co-NFT project that I've been working on, and yeah, it's amazing. We're building like a super cool community of artists and art lovers there, and I'm like super proud of the work that we're doing there. Oh, thanks, Ademoela. Yeah, and there's like a lot of other layers. Like that's the short version. You know, there's a lot of fun other facts into that story too. I hosted a TV show in Berlin for a while, a talk show, where I interviewed cool people from Berlin for a while. What else? Yeah, I organized by this point, I guess, organized like 100 art shows across the world, featured at least 500 or 600 different artists in the magazine on these exhibitions and all of that. But at the end, it's all about creating communities, right? You know, it's like for a successful art practice, it's all about creating a community of people that are excited about your art. You know? And it's like, I take a very nonchalant approach to it, like very basic business. You know, you as an artist, you're creating a product, you need to create an audience that is excited about buying that product. You know, the product is your paintings, your art career, your photos. And it's just a question about creating excitement, you know, and I guess social media is very cool on that because, you know, with all its flaws, you know, it is a question that, you know, you can connect directly with the audience. Why are NFTs important for the art world? Because they will destroy the art world. I think they will actually change the art world in a way that we cannot completely understand right now. You can see a lot of big galleries going into NFTs, but a lot of other galleries are very stubborn about that. Really, there are a lot of galleries that are even very stubborn about the internet itself, you know, not even having like an online shop to sell their art. So I think that this is just like a rug being pulled, and if people that are not ready are going to get tripped and miss out on a great opportunity for artists and art lovers, you know, because it's much more open for participation, you know, because the art market has been built in a way over the last 500 years that it really doesn't let people in, you know, if they're not vetted by a gallerist, a curator, a dealer, and that lets a lot of artists out. You know, at the end, you have 1,000 artists coming out every year from art universities or self-learning artists, and maybe there's space for 30 artists in a gallery. You know, there's like too much great art and too little galleries to show it. So I think that artists empowering themselves is a way to democratize that. So it's not just a handful of galleries that are showing who are the most important artists. It's a whole NFT community showing these are the artists and projects that we really love and that we find amazing. And most of that stuff would not make it into art galleries or into museums any other way. You know, they're not going to be showing, you know, that kind of stuff in their fancy galleries, you know. So I guess that while the galleries catered some artists to some art collectors, you know, and kind of played as a closed members club, the NFT is everybody selling and buying whatever they love freely amongst themselves. And if if that's not, if the art world does not pay attention to it, you know, the NFT is just going to grow to a place that is going to overtake the art world, and, you know, maybe make it the traditional art market relic from the past. So who knows, you know.
Yeah, it's true. There's so much to unfold here. Now I'm able to unmute. Thank you so much, Stephan. I want to touch upon so much of your story. There was so much to pick at there, especially when it just came to your upbringing. And I want to say the moral of the story seems to be our parents are always right, because the fact that you got into graphic design because your mom has led you down a path that now you've been able to share with us. So thank you for that. One question I did have on that note, if you don't mind, is there's this hot term of digital nomad, right? So being that you've gone from South America, we went to Buenos Aires, and now to Berlin, just kind of off of a whim, what advice would you offer to people who have the ability to work remotely and or maybe artists similar to yourself and are navigating the space of trying to find what landscape suits them best?
Yeah, well, I was like a kid nomad, so all that traveling was while I was a kid still. I just moved to Berlin and kind of stayed here. That's my base. So I like travel back and forth and work on the road, but I'm not quote unquote a digital nomad. I like it here. But I think that it's a question of building an online community, you know, like your tribe. You know, like in a sense, you know, in traditional sense, in your job, you would have like a group of friends, maybe you like go out to an exhibition or grab a beer after work together, and, you know, all builds that sense of community. I think that even if you're working 100% online, it is important to build some sort of community around you, or else it gets a little bit lonely. And I think that the NFT community does a very good job in that. You know, it's like these Discords and these cool tweets and whatnot. There's a lot of like connection between back and forth. So I think that whatever you're doing, just like find a community of people like-minded, you know, online or offline, and, you know, connect to that, you know, or else it gets a little bit lonely.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much.